Okay, so I'm working on my next project, installing this Chinese diesel heater as one of my sources of heat. A total of four sources of heat, just so you know. People worried that I'm not going to be able to keep warm in here. But this is a Silvo Chinese diesel heater. And so in order to install this, I'm doing what makes anyone cringe to have to do, and that's drilling a hole straight through the floor. So I did that, and so basically, what's going to happen? The exhaust port, as you can see right here, this is the intake port. This is the exhaust port. That's where the exhaust is going to come out. And in their wisdom, they put it right next to the fuel line. Whatever. So anyway, this is going to come. This fits right on the exhaust. That's the exhaust tube right there. The exhaust tube is going to fit right in this pipe here. This pipe is going to fit in this hole here, and it's going to be held in place by pipe clamps. But also, I'm going to be using this high temp silicone sealant. All right, so this is going to be a heat resistant sealant that's going to go around the pipe, so that it can go through the wood and the foam board and everything without causing an issue. I mean, it does get hot. I mean, isn't supposed to be hot enough to actually be combustible, but I want to be safe. All right, so now I got the exhaust installed. That's sticking out, so I have room to be able to connect it to the diesel heater. The diesel heater, as you can see, there's places here to mount it. I'm going to use 2x4s just to give a little bit of space from the floor, and then that will connect right here to the exhaust port. This is the intake hose. There's a filter on the intake hose, and so we're close to getting this done. Hi. As you can guess from my attire, it's getting a little bit chilly. So a couple of things. First of all, I am going to be installing my diesel heater. Last night I had a bit of an issue with the buddy heater. And so, basically what happens, I mean, as you can see, it's hooked up to a 20-pound gas can. And what happens over time is, let me go ahead and show you where the pilot is. Okay, you see where the blue flame is coming out? Well, over time, what happens is that gets a little bit fouled. And so I went ahead and ran a pipe cleaner with a little bit of alcohol on it in there and cleaned that out. And it seems to be working now. I've already tested it, and it seems to be working with no problem. But last night, it was just, it was really going out. And I didn't know what was wrong, but I went to YouTube and found my answer. So back to the diesel heater. I need to go ahead and connect this exhaust tube. The exhaust tube is in a pipe, and it's the same tubing as what's holding up this tent. And so that's actually inside of a metal tube. And it's sticking out right now, but as you can see, it'll go in, and it's held snugly by the by the metal tubing. The metal tubing is secured underneath. I crawled underneath there and secured it, and so it's not going anywhere. And it's just one more layer. And of course, the black stuff that is the high temp sealant that I use to create kind of a barrier between that and the floor that it's going through. So this I need to get hooked up. All right, so the unit has been clamped onto the exhaust hose, which goes through the floor. It's been bolted down on the front and the back. That's the intake that's coming out of the back there. And now the only thing is to hook this up to a 12-volt source. So let's go over here and show you what I'm going to be using. This is a 10-watt battery with an LCD display, which is why I got it. You know, I feel like I'm completely blind with these batteries. That's one thing I don't like about the Power Queen is I think I've overcharged it, and I'm not sure. So I'm going to have to do some tests with the Power Queen to see just how much capacity it still has as a 200 amp hour battery. But this is a 12 volt, 100 amp hour battery. As you can see right here, there's the specifications. And it's sitting at 69% right now. So this will be useful when I'm charging it so that I don't overcharge it. But this is going to be the 12 volt source that we're going to be hooking this diesel heater up to. Okay, so I got it hooked up. As you can see, the display is lighting up, so I do have it up hooked up correctly. Does come with a 10 amp inline fuse, and so everything's working okay. The only thing that I don't have right now is fuel, so I'm going to go into town to get some fuel, and we're going to test this out and see how well it works. So that's where the hot air is going to come out. There's a hose that could hook up to it. I really don't need it. This display right here fits in this bracket here, but I'm pulling it out just to get a better look at it. And so I'll go ahead and power it down and go into town and get my fuel. That's a new pail I bought for giving Stuart a bath. and down arrow keys, it's the measurement is in hertz. So 5.1, 4.9 hertz. So far I'm not hearing the ticking that indicates that the fuel pump is working. Oh, there it is. Okay, you hear that ticking? Now, as a truck driver, I'm well used to that ticking. So because this is the first time, it's probably priming the fuel lines right now. So it'll take a little while. Out of curiosity, I want to see how much the battery usage is. By the way, this is a self-heating battery. That I'm not so much concerned about. I mean, everyone says it's a big deal, but because you can't charge a lithium battery below freezing. So it's got its own heating pad. If you try to charge it below freezing, it'll heat up first, and then it'll take a charge. Okay, it's just all it's doing is just giving me a time to empty, which is 7 hours and 38 minutes at the current usage. So air is starting to warm up a bit. I'm definitely feeling some heat. Okay, now it's saying it's 37 hours, 35 hours. Time to empty. Okay, that's some heat. All right, let me slow it down a bit. Okay, so the heat that's coming out of here is about as hot as what would come out of the vent behind the dryer. So if I hold my hand, it's just starting to feel like it's going to burn it, but it's not too bad. So it's definitely not dangerous. It's not going to ignite anything. It's just hot air, like what would come out of your dryer. It's starting to slow down now. All right, so that's great. That tells me this is working. So I have a secondary source of heat. Let's go ahead and power this down. Let's see if I can do that with the key here, or with the fob. I want to make sure that it keeps blowing, even as it's these diesel heaters. They don't stop on a dime. Something you realize about that, they got to keep blowing. If it were to shut down completely, then that could break it. So that's another thing with the battery. You got to make sure that the battery stays hooked up until it goes through its complete shutdown process. So it'll take a few minutes. It'll keep blowing. It's blowing air to circulate and cool everything down. But there's a cool down period that it must go through. It must remain hooked up to the battery while it's going through this period. If it doesn't, if you disconnect the power, then you're going to have a problem. So another reason I want this display here, it's going to show me, you know, I'll be able to check it, make sure that it's not going to shut off itself. So anyway, that's another source of heating that I have. So let me go ahead and give you an idea of, because I'm going to have several sources of heating. I mean, everyone I talked to about this tent is so concerned that I'm going to get cold. The wood stove is going to go here, and it's going to go through that stove jack there. So that's going to be the next project, is to get that going. And these oil lamps, I have more on the way, but they put off heat, and it's not something not something to be dismissed, how much heat that they can put off, especially when you got several of them going. These right here, isopropyl alcohol. So that's cotton balls soaked with isopropyl alcohol. I'll go and show you here. Okay, and that'll climb higher and higher. So, and it'll get about this high. So that's a source of heat too. So I mean, there's kind of layers of heating that I can do to get the temperature up. And when I'm through with this, then I just put the lid on, and that's that. So 91% isopropyl alcohol, and I got two of them, so I kind of alternate between the two of them. So you know, I mean, this place is going to get cold, but I'm going to have several ways of being able to heat it up. And so the next project is going to be that wood stove.